Welcome to what could be the most WTFest Wednesday yet. We're going to be talking with one of my Twitter friends who I did not meet in person and only met through direct message and phone to talk about her EIDL loan and what she could possibly do to fix it. And thus
because it's broke.
Because it's big broke.
It gotta be fixed because it's broke.
And so thus
the wheels have come off.
And thus ensued an incredible, horrifying story that we're going to talk with Lyssa in a bit. So stay tuned after our 18-second intro.
That's not to say there were not glitches, and there are still glitches happening.
Welcome to WTF Wednesday, where every week we talk about stupid that we've encountered that you should try to avoid. Welcome back, and just want to say thank you to everyone, including our fave fan, Tim Sohn.
Now more than ever,
more than ever for joining us. And if you're catching us on the replay, thank you so much for stopping by. We have a special guest today, but before we bring on Lyssa and her unbelievably beautiful Siberian Husky, Sessa, who is a rescue dog, we first want to wish everyone gobble gobble. Won't you join us and put gobble gobble in the comments so that everyone, if you're here, knows that you are wishing us a Thanksgiving too.
And we're hoping you are all having a very healthy Thanksgiving, especially this week with the massive wildfire COVID surge that's happening all around the nation. I read this morning that basically the experts are giving up on contact tracing. That's how bad it is. So please stay safe, stay well, and wear a mask. Please wear a mask and practice social distancing. It really does help.
Yes. So right now, I would like to introduce to you Lyssa Holder. Lyssa is she is the purple-haired mom.
And she really is the purple-haired mom, as you will see in a moment.
Yes. And you can find Lyssa at www.purplehairmom.com. And I met Lyssa she messaged me on Twitter after one of our posts, and we got on the phone with her to talk through her EIDL loan. And we learned a lot about what was going on and couldn't believe it and thought, well, that surely is something that could be fixed because they're wrong. And that's just a wrong, situation.
And don't call me Shirley.
This is the email she copied us in on that she had to send
to our not favorite administrator of SBA, Ms. Carranza.
And her bank is a party to this. We are not naming names except for obviously the SBA. So let's, without further ado, introduce to you Lyssa. She goes by Lyssa, but her name is Lyssa, but I call her Lyssa. And here we are, Lyssa.
Hi, Lyssa, the purple hair mom.
I really am.
And let me do there we go.
I created I put you into contacts as I manage all the contacts, and I created a contact for you, and I always email the contact card to Linda, and I get an email back from Linda. Mind you, I get an email. We're in the same house. We're separated probably by about 30 feet through a wall, and I get an email back from her a minute later going, "Who the heck is Lyssa?"
Yeah. So Lyssa, we want you to share your story. I just want to let everyone know that I know that you are an entrepreneur. You started a couple of businesses. You're a single mom and of 4 kids. And
God bless you.
You had your EIDL loan approved, but you never received the money. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in your own words. So start wherever you want to start.
Well, I actually went and did the application at the end of June. So kind of at the height of when everybody was doing it. It actually went pretty fast. I ended up in approval by the beginning of July. My bank that I was using, though, at the time, I had to switch over to a different bank. The bank that I was using, apparently with the first round of EIDL loans that went through, I guess from March to April or May, they had stopped working with them, but didn't tell any of their customers that they were not accepting anything through SBA anymore. So when they sent the advance through, it got sent back. And when I tried to change my banking information through the SBA, I just kept getting told by their customer service department, okay, we'll make a note of it. Okay, we'll make a note of it. We'll make a note of it. We'll make a note of it. And it never got changed. They just kept saying they were making a note and sending it on, making a note and sending it on. And it wasn't actually anything was getting done. So when they sent the loan, it also got sent back because nobody had actually updated any information. So the customer service people were literally doing nothing.
Conversation, it appears that what happened was your bank, and we've seen this with more than a few other people in some of the online forums we've been visiting. Thankfully, it never happened to any of our clients, but apparently your bank thought it was a fraudulent deposit. And, you know, like every really competent and professional and high quality banker out there in the world, they contacted you first to say, hey, by the way, you got this X amount of dollars in your, is this fraudulent? No, of course they did not actually reach out to you. Well, don't get me started about the incompetence of the banks out there. I hope you're listening because I'm talking to you.
Yeah, we're redubbing our WTF show to have Speechless Rant as the moniker. But, you know, even last week on our show, I said, because we were trashing lenders and the SBA, and we love the bankers we work with, but we said, you know, if you know a banker or a lender, tell them to call us to let us know where we're missing the mark on how things are amiss. And, you know, I know we don't have a huge audience, but we didn't get nobody called.
Bottom line here is when it comes to fraud. So in my banking experience, and I've gone through Secret Service Treasury training for, you know, the type of fraud, people are always nervous about, hey, you know, I have some cash. Should I deposit in the bank? Because the IRS the IRS is looking at everything. So there's a form you have to fill out. There's this atmosphere of how fraud is detected out there in banks, such as in your case, Lyssa, where your bank thought fraud was happening. But actually, having grown up in New York City on the street and having known people who were actual real criminals when I grew up as a kid, they are completely clueless when it comes down to what real fraud is. So like in my Secret Service Treasury training, one of the things that the federal government tells us to look at is patterns. If things are outside the pattern. And here's what the Treasury says in the training. They don't tell you, you see something that's outside a normal pattern, make the assumption on the spot it's fraud and shut it all down. No, what they do is tell you in the training to question the applicant or the borrower, or in your case, the depositor. Your bank should have questioned you. Hey, we see this deposit, which is outside of a pattern, and we think it might be fraudulent. Is it? And you would have said, oh, hell no. It's the SBA. And you never got that.
Right. And no, actually, I called my bank immediately when I saw that the advance had been sent back. And their explanation to me was, oh, no, we know that it's the SBA, but we're not working with the SBA. We're not accepting anything. They didn't care whether it was actual or not. They said they were not working with any SBA deposits. Unless it was coming from the IRS, they were not taking any deposits from the government. It says Treasury on there, and they were like, they said
Treasury. It actually it says SBA.
Yeah, it actually just says Treasury deposit on there, and they said that they were not accepting it. Right. Yeah, and then I contacted the SBA. And one of the customer service reps that I got told me, we don't work with your bank. And I've learned from several of the contacts that I've gone through that is not true. They're like, we don't just not work with the banks. They were like, we actually do work with most of the banks, unless, it's, if they're shut down or if they're not we'll send it to whatever bank you want us to send it to, but it was them, not us, is pretty much how they went through that. So, but I was getting improper information from the customer service reps as well, so I had to turn around and change everything.
this aspect of your story, Lyssa, really speaks to one of the larger and honestly more despicable aspects of what we've all gone through during the pandemic. So in your case, you've spoken to two different people who literally, and we do call this WTF because of stupid shit that we've seen. You spoke to two people who literally talked shit on the phone because they didn't have a real answer.
Wait a minute. Oh,
Linda wants to go for a sound effect. A little late on the bleep bleep. Two trusted professionals, because you as the consumer, as the business owner, as the borrower, as the depositor with your bank, you put your faith in the institutions to provide their representatives with accurate information that could then be disseminated to you. And instead, lacking that information, people make stuff up on the spot. You know why? Because they don't know how to handle a customer with a complaint, which the right way to handle is, that is not right. I need to find out why that happened. Let me get a phone number. Let me get back to you. Instead of telling you, we don't work with the SBA, there's no way your banker knew it was the SBA except that you told the banker that. It says U.S. Treasury, and that's the same exact way that your Social Security retirement benefit shows up, your Social Security disability benefit shows up, and your IRS tax refund shows up. I've looked at bank statements for 30 years as a mortgage banker, and I have seen those deposits for first-time buyers. So that's all it says, U.S. Treasury.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I actually showed that to my dad, who has been a banker for years, and he was like, I told him what they said, and he was like, that's a load. He said, that's not how that works. That's not, you don't just look at something and go, I feel like sending that back. You know, that's not, if you let me know ahead of time, if I'm your banker and you let me know ahead, hey, I've got a deposit coming through. I just want to let you know that, yes, this is me. This is mine. And then when we see it come through, oh, she told us about this. It's good. We've already been told. And they were told about it ahead of time, and they just decided on their own they weren't going to deal with it. But like you said, that was a pattern that I've seen from a lot of people.
Your dad, the banker, said the same thing as I did. That's a load of shit.
Wait, no, you warn me.
Oh, you got to try to keep up here, girlfriend.
Well, so I want to let everyone know, so with Lyssa, her business, she was a very successful for 10 years in LA. If you can event planning in LA, if you can do event planning in LA, you kind of know what you're doing. And then she moved back home, right, to Ohio, you said, and you started a new business. And your tagline on your website says, come for coffee, stay for chaos.
I love it.
So I'm like, oh my God, that is so brilliant, except for you did not manifest this type of chaos that you almost have to close your business down now, right? Those are some of the messages you've been sharing with this catastrophic fail on the part of the government. Like, this is not the chaos you were intending. So Now,
I want you to talk about this, Lyssa, about this amazing
my 2-page word vomit.
So tell us what you're doing now. What's your action plan right now?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, right now, that was my not so speechless rant on that. I gave them a chance. I sent one email, basically at this point, all documents are being attached to every email. I don't care who sees them at this point. It's just somebody needs to see it and do something. So I've been sending them. I told them I wanted a response by this past Monday at the end of the business day. And if they did not respond, then each substantial email afterward would have a different member of the media tagged in it as well, as far as copied in on it. I've got 2 local newscasters here who are just foaming at the mouth like, oh, yeah, we need this. And it's not COVID. It's not this. Yeah, we need a story like this, because a lot of people don't know, they're just under the assumption that, small business is here, take this loan. Now you're great. Now you go on with your business. And that's not what's happening. And especially, unfortunately, the SB, and this sickens me, because the fact that it's run by a minority woman, that most people that are running into this particular issue are minority run businesses and women owned businesses. So we're the ones, because the lenders are pushing through the big clients that give them all the money and kind of leaving the little guy behind, and we're just kind of left picking up the pieces. So I actually got a call this morning from my local SBA. And I do have to say that my local representatives, there's only 2 of them here in the Cincinnati area. They have been absolutely amazing. I really wish that they could do more, and they wish they could do more, but they actually can't see into the disaster database. They can't see anything in there.
They don't have access to
but one of but they used to when it wasn't this giant cluster that it is now. But one of the ladies there, she actually worked there for 30 days, so she knows some insight into the people there. And he gave me the district manager actually gave me a call this morning because he wanted to see if anybody had touched base with me after that email. And I told him, no, you're the first one. And he was like, oh, that's not good. So he was looking up in his system, and he saw that the loan officer that gave me issue, his boss, who never responded to not even a voicemail or my emails, and he looked up his boss and gave me her email address. And he said, I don't know her personally. He said, but just looking at her face and looking at, she is online, and it looks like she is online. She's here all the time. So she is very much, she's very active. So he gave me her information to contact her, and he said, he said he doesn't blame me for contacting the media. He said, honestly, he said, if it's what works, do it. Because at this point, I'm just trying to see if I'm even still in PDC, if I'm still in reconsideration, because the loan officer changed a bunch of things, and I don't know why he changed a bunch of things, but it caused me to get an email stating that I had a duplicate application.
Yeah, well, I have some insight into why that might be, but rather than go into that, so there is something that's happening. It's just the whole thing is despicable, and we're hoping the best for your outcome. How are you surviving right now with your business?
I'm trying to amp up some of the other aspects that I can do, because I'm an event planner, but I also do online coaching for social media, network marketing. I help people with their websites. I help people with their social media accounts to actually be able to boost their marketing, especially right now when a lot of the stuff they can't do, but also to show them different ways to market their companies. Because, a lot of people buy ads on radio, but a lot of people don't even listen to radio anymore. They listen to their, playlists on, Pandora and all that, trying to get ads on air. Also helping people that do multi-level marketing, they're all out there, but helping them to not be such a pain in the butt when it comes to trying to market their own business. So doing that, plus I launched a vegan cosmetic company earlier this year. So it didn't have anything to do with the EIDL loan because it was just launched this year. But I've got that online at the website. So it's got all of its vegan, cruelty-free, all natural makeup. So trying to kind of supplement things with that. Just trying to see, what we can do. Other than that, just kind of hanging on for dear life. We've been getting unemployment. Luckily, we did qualify because there's only 3 of us in the company, and we're all single moms. We're all minorities, and we're struggling. So luckily, we were eligible for pandemic unemployment as business owners. So we were eligible to get that, but it's nowhere near what we're used to making.
Wow.
Well, your purple hair energy, it sounds like it's driving you to take no prisoners and not to take no for an answer. There are 2 observations I want to make for you. First of all, and you and I spoke on the phone originally, and at the time, I remember one of the elements about this returning the money issue was you were concerned that you have a loan which technically has been dispersed by SBA, and therefore under the terms of the loan agreement, you are being charged interest, and the payments are supposed to start 12 months from the disbursement date. So as a result of our conversation and some other things we were seeing, I did a deep dive into the SBA loan agreement, and sadly, it states in no uncertain terms in the loan agreement that the payment period begins from disbursement date, regardless if all the funds have been dispersed or not. I don't know that once you resolve, and I really do, we do hope that you resolve this, Lyssa, that I don't know though that, and you might want to consult with legal counsel on this, because you're incurring interest on a loan right now that you don't have.
That you never got, that you never.
And as per the loan agreement that you signed, because you had to sign that to get the disbursement, which was subsequently returned, you are incurring that interest as per the loan agreement. So that is yet another thorn that you have to deal with. One other observation I will make for you, as far as the vegan cosmetic company, very interesting conversation I had with an excellent tier 2 SBA agent. And again, you know, from Lyssa, from your experience, and we've told people many times, if you're calling SBA, speak with a tier 2 agent and get their agent ID number and their name. I spoke with a very experienced SBA agent one day for a client, similar situation to yours, for a company that was just formed this year. And the agent told me there is an internal workaround in the disaster assistance financing program that you could potentially get approved. So I would encourage you to file an application for the vegan cosmetic for the cosmetic company. The worst that happened is you spent a few minutes of your life to upload the application and then they say no. But there apparently is an internal workaround for companies as long as you were in business as of January 31st, 2020. That seems to be kind of the metric.
Yeah, well, that was the one thing that which I didn't understand, that this loan officer, I don't know if this was a very experienced loan officer, because he was like, well, it looks like you're trying to get a loan for a company that was established this year. And I was like, but it said, I said, even if it was, which it wasn't, it's been around since last year. I said, even if it was, what's the date that you're looking at? And he was like, well, January 19th. I said, okay, look at your rules.
January 31st.
And he got upset with me and he said, well, you're being accused of fraud. And I said, okay, well, what fraud am I being accused of? And he said, I don't have to tell you. And that was the last conversation. Now when I try to call, he won't even accept the calls. He picks up the phone and hangs up. I can't leave a voicemail, nothing. He sees my number pop up and he picks up the phone and hangs up. He makes it so I cannot
Did you have an actual agent ID when you spoke with him? Because I'm guessing he might be one of these contractors.
No, he was a loan officer. He's a and because the guy, yep. Well, at SBA, he's one of the SBA loan officers. And the guy that called me this morning, the local guy, he was like, "Let me look him up." And he looked and he said, "Oh my God, he really is." He said, "That's that's disturbing." He said that he really is a loan officer. And I said, well, that's how he's, I said, and obviously his supervisor isn't all that concerned about it, because I left a long voicemail for him as far as what was going on, and I haven't received a return phone call from him yet.
So BTW FYI,
right now.
BTW FYI, in federal regulations, having done hundreds and hundreds of government loans and worked with the FHA and the Veterans Administration directly for 3 decades, when fraud is involved, literally, you are instructed never to say the words out loud to the borrower or the applicant. You are not allowed to say you are being accused of fraud. So the fact that he said it out loud to you means it is complete. Do you want to get the beep out? Because you're going to need it.
Oh, actually, no. Hold on a second.
The fact that this moron said it out loud is complete and total.
Wait. Hold on.
Bullshit. I squeezed it in there.
Yeah,
because your dad will probably confirm this, Lyssa, that we are instructed, if there is a suspicion of fraud on a loan application, that you essentially find a way to work around, if you have to deny the loan or whatever, but you never tell the applicant. There are strict rules about this. The fact that he said this to you, he's making it. He's like the other people you spoke to. They're just making this up out of their butts.
Is he in on this email?
No, I actually took his supervisor is in on the email. I didn't even want I put his name in the email so everybody would know exactly which loan officer I was speaking to, but I didn't even want to give him a chance to try to make up something. That's why I just put his supervisor in there.
Right.
And then all of the people that I spoke with on the local level here, the deputy manager here in the district, and then like just all the people. And I know that Miss Carranza is never going to answer. That's just, she just looks at that like, oh, another email. Move it along. But it's absolutely ridiculous because they want to accuse people of fraud. Like the fraudsters that were doing this, they already got the money. They already, they were the ones that were getting millions of dollars for companies that didn't exist. So now they're squeezing the small business owners, and it's like, I think they were trying to trip people up going, well, we need you to send this, and this. And people went, okay, here you go. And they were like, uh-oh. They actually sent it. What do we do now? Because I'm not seeing very many people that have gone through this process of reconsideration actually have success. There's a very few amount that are really having success. And it's like, why are you putting us through this? And now if I go into KWeb and look at I see my PPP loan that I got, which I was approved for and dispersed with no issue, none whatsoever.
Right.
And now with this one, they canceled the application. So now it's just canceled. It just says fully canceled in there. So they're just taking the small businesses. Like I said, they pushed all the larger companies to the front of the line. Well, you guys make us a lot of money. You make us look good. We'll put you to the front of the line. Oh, you mom and pop organizations and single person, sole proprietors and single LLCs, whatever, we'll get to you guys when we feel like it.
More of it,
and then you just don't get back to it all.
The SBA, we've said this repeatedly. The SBA agents, except for your terrible experience with this loan officer, we've had very good experience to speak with the SBA frontline agents.
Yeah.
Our professional opinion is that the administration, Ms. Carranza, and the top administrators of SBA are not providing any kind of clear direction to the staffing below at the lower levels who are dealing with any kind of situation. And you're right about the reconsiderations. We're working on over a dozen reconsiderations, and they're just going on, and you get no communication. You get no phone calls. You occasionally get a request for documents. You submit the documents, and then it's crickets. Meanwhile, the SBA sends emails every week. Beware of phishing scams. People are falling for phishing scams because they think it's the SBA getting back to them about their desperate need for money under their reconsideration. So there's so much that's wrong with this. Granted, it is a unique situation. It's a pandemic disaster we've never seen in American history. And in the beginning stages, the federal government, Congress, and the SBA did respond it was amazing what they were able to pull off. But we're in this now 9 months. How long does it take for an administration to get their act together and let the people at the lower levels know, do this, do this, do this?
Well, that's
because it's to the point where they should just call them the LBA, the Large Business Association, because even when they put everything out the first time, all these gigantic companies sucked up all the funds, and the small businesses were like, well, what about us? And they were like, oh, we didn't see you there. You're going to have to wait. We ran out of funds. And I'm starting to think actually that is the situation right now, and they don't want to say that because they know that, especially with the transfer in power that we're going to have, that they're going to really hear it, because it's like, well, you had all these applications, you had money that was actually assigned to these people in approved loans. I made copies of my loan documents. I have everything that I had. How was I approved for almost 5 months, and then just all of a sudden now I'm denied? But you had this was supposed to be set aside for my company, just like you had for every other company. Now all of a sudden they just want to deny everybody. I'm like, so I'm thinking that they're running out of funds, or they did run out of funds, and that's why nobody's getting reconsidered, because there's nothing left. All the fraudsters and all these big companies got everything.
Yeah, we're beginning to think the same thing, and the fact is that, the amendment S4227, which is part of the alleged next round of stimulus, which still has not passed because McConnell sent everybody home, you moron. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Yes,
I thought it was in my head.
I can't stand that. I can't stand that man. I can't. He looks like he's melting.
I'm melting.
He's in my neighbor. He's in my neighboring state of Kentucky, and it's to the point where I'm like, I don't even understand anymore. Like, I'm just like, can somebody just drop kick him, please? Because he has no clue. I said they should suspend their pay until they get it together, but he'd really start panicking and actually get it under control, and maybe actually do something if maybe they didn't get their pay until they figured it out.
Well, hopefully something will happen with the stimulus. But the other side of it is when you compare larger businesses to a small sole proprietor business like yours, small business, your business level does not have access to the resources that these larger business. That is what we did in March. Is we pivoted our practice because we lost all of our financing business thanks to COVID. And we said, let's become disaster financing experts to help folks who don't have the resources of an internal CFO, an internal human resources or bookkeeping department. So those larger companies, they know how to fill out applications because they do it all the time. Smaller businesses like you that don't want to have debt and don't have the experience with this because of the lack of resource. What we've seen time and time again is these applications were filled out incorrectly or misunderstanding how to don't even get me started about the IRS form 4506T, the request for transcript. That gets bounced so many times. And again, the SBA is not coming back to you.
My computer.
Yeah, they're not coming back to you and saying, hey, Lyssa, look, we want to finish your application, but you need to fix this and fix that. And we understand that you don't have the outside professionals to guide you. So everything about it, listen, COVID, it's a horror show. Everything about it.
The disaster financing is what I've been saying for months and months.
Yeah,
but,
it's literally been, just everything hitting, especially here in Ohio, because honestly, and our actual representative said this, that he could not really think of too many times when people in Ohio have had to use EIDL loans because we don't have a lot of tornadoes. We don't have a lot of natural disasters here. We're not really exposed to stuff like that. So when it came to that, most businesses here were like, we don't know what to do. That's why, I actually called ahead of time when I was going to do the application and asked them, hey, can you guys help me with this? Because I have two names. I have my main company name, which is Amethyst Events and Marketing. I said, but I have a DBA of Purple Haired Mom. I don't know which one to use because, technically they're both correct, but which one do I use? And they told me to use the DBA. And now I'm being told by the loan officer, well, you shouldn't have used that. Well, then why are your people telling me that I needed to use that? Because he was like, well, you should have known how to fill this out. Really? Because I filled out so many of these before. I'm like, what do you mean I should have known how to fill this out?
Lack of resources. If you had the professionals in your court that you could afford to pay, except you can't because you're at a lower level of financing, a lower level of revenue. You don't have these types of professionals in your network to rely on. Plus,
I have my dad. That was pretty much it.
These loan officers making a statement like this is not a solution-based person. This is somebody who's overwhelmed and who's taken it out on you. Instead of saying you shouldn't have done that, he should say, let me try and figure out a workaround.
Yes, the solutions.
Yeah.
Where are the solutions?
And then he changed it. And then he changed the application name to my main company name. And then as soon as he did that, I got a request for new documents to be signed. So I was like, oh, okay. So I signed those documents. And then he calls me later that day and goes, oh, you've been denied because you're being investigated for fraud. And I was like, he said, you've been investigated for fraud for the last several months. I'm like, that's funny because it's the first time I'm hearing of it. How was I being investigated for something and nobody's contacted me? And then the next thing I know, I'm getting an email stating that I have duplicate applications. I'm like, but I haven't sent any other applications. And it was because he went in and was changing things and he wasn't telling me he was changing things. And I'm like, it's stupid because they're going to be able to see this was changed internally. They're going to be able to see that it wasn't me. He went in and changed it and then didn't tell me he was doing it.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it's like all of this. So now I don't know if I'm in reconsideration or if I'm just out in the wind. I have no idea.
Well, I just want to say that first of all, thank you for sharing your story and taking the time to hang out with us and giving us a real life experience, a real life case study, so to speak, because we've been talking about this our first WTF show was May 25th, and we've been dealing with clients in the SBA directly and every day keeping tabs on everything. But to just hear this horror show is, it's mind numbing to say the least. And I can't even imagine how you must feel every day.
We think you're taking the right approach though, Lyssa. Yeah. At this point, the squeaky wheel gets the grease and you're climbing the ladder as you have been doing is where you need to be. You don't need to speak to people at the lower levels any longer. You need to speak with the people up at the upper levels as you're doing. Climb that ladder, get as high up the ladder as you can, And you're not wrong. Bring the media in.
Yeah.
Bring them in and get your story out there.
Especially about this.
You're not alone.
Especially about this guy who going rogue with his accusations without substantiating anything. That's incredible. So, well, listen, I could talk to you for more time, but we're going to wrap it up here. So stay, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and just going to say goodbye to everybody.
Reminder, everybody, you can find Lyssa at purplehairmom.com. She could use the business. Find a way to buy stuff from Lyssa. She needs your money.
Vegan, beauty supplies and cosmetics. Purplehair.com. No.
Purplehairmom.com.
Purple Hair. Yeah, I had it up before. There you go. Okay. Anyway, I just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in today. And we want to wish you and everyone in your family a safe, healthy, joyous as best as it can be under the circumstances Thanksgiving. And we will see you.
It's easy for you to say. I'm doing all the cooking.
Week. That's okay. I'm not.